Following the series of coups that happened in Western African states, last week Guinea-Bissau, and over the weekend in Benin, the African Union and Ecowas, the Economic Community of Western African States, were quick to release a statement condemning the coup in its strongest terms. Now, my argument is that these organizations are double standard because they always write and release statements against the coup, but they fail to address the coup that happens before the coup, which is a constitutional coup, where these political rulers commit a constitutional coup that actually prepares the base for the coup that happens after that. Now, what am I saying? Or am I confusing you? Look, this is my hypothesis. The African Union and the ECOWAS are known, if anything, for their double standards in dealing with military coups and institutional or constitutional coups that threaten the political stability of the continent. Now, what am I arguing is that both AU and ECOWAS policy instruments or normative frameworks that prescribe penalties for violations that threaten Africa's political stability are not only applied to military coups, but equally it should be applied to constitutional or institutional coups. Now, I'm going to read the statements that came out from ECOWAS and then from the African Union. Then I give to you my opinion, my conclusion, and my recommendation to that. Now, I'm going to read this quickly. Look, ECOWAS statement on the Republic of Benin. For those of you who don't know, ECOWAS is the Economic Community of Western African States comprising 15 member states. Now, 3 of them have withdrawn themselves, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, and formed their own confederation. So currently, it has 12 member states. Now, I read their statement. ECOWAS Commission has received with concentration reports of an attempted military takeover in the Republic of Benin. ECOWAS strongly condemns this unconstitutional move that represents a subversion of the will of the people of Benin. ECOWAS calls for the full respect of the Constitution of Benin and salutes the effort of the government and the Republican Army in bringing the situation under control. ECOWAS holds the leaders of the plot, both individually and collectively, responsible for any loss to life and property occasioned by their action. Now, I don't even read till the end because what I want to highlight is the one in the middle. Okay, I mean, did I lose it? Where it talks about, I think I closed it by mistakes, where it talks about the constitutional coup. Look, this is what happened. Before the coup in Benin happened, the government or the political leader, its president, Patrice Talon, in November, what it did was that, first of all, when Patrice Talon came to power, he came for one term. That's what he promised. Although he could have stayed for 2 terms, he said, I will be here only for 1 term. And then he said a 2nd term. He even wanted a 3rd term, but that was kind of impossible for him. So what he did was that last month, in Parliament, he introduced his successor, which is the current finance minister of Benin. And Also, in the parliament, the parliament excluded the opposition parties, the key opposition political party, so that they don't have any competitors. So in a landslide, they can win 100% this upcoming election in April 2026. And also what it did was, if you happen to listen, when those young military officers who kind of controlled the country for 12 hours. It was a 12 hours coup. They say that they didn't like how the children of the military are treated as well. So there are a number of things that they have changed. So one of the things when they take over in their interim period, what they promised to do was to restore back the constitution where it was before the month of November. Okay, that is it. So this is what we call a constitutional coup. Now, my question is, and why I'm calling a double standard, is that why the African Union or Ecowas are not saying against these African governments that are committing a constitutional coup. Political leaders like the president of Rwanda and others, also Alassane Ouattara of Ivory Coast, they are like, they want to be forever. Take Togo. I mean, that country have been ruled by one family, one dynasty, political dynasty, ever since their independence. And the AU is not saying anything, So, but when really the military coup happens, you are quick here to come out and, give your lip service. It doesn't do anything. I mean, the people, on top of that, the question is, what do the people of Benin want? What do the people of Guinea-Bissau want? What do the people of Burkina Faso, anywhere where that coup happened? You have to ask, what do the people need? Because this is, what happened in the Sahel state is something demanded by the people. So this is a double standard. Now, I'm going to quickly share with you also the statement from the African Union, and it's just the same thing. Okay, so here it is. The chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, strongly and unequivocally condemns the military coup attempt that occurred on 7 December 2025 in the Republic of Benin. The chairperson stresses that any form of military interference in political processes constitutes a grave violation of the fundamental principles and values of the African Union. The chairperson recalls the African Union's normative frameworks on unconstitutional changes of government, including the AU Constitutive Act 2000, the Lomé Declaration 2000, the African Charter on Democracy, Election and Governance 2007, and the Isluwini Framework 2009, all of which categorically reject military encroachment in governance and affirms the primacy of constitutional order and democratic legitimacy as pillars of peace and stability. I'm even disgusted to continue because all these technical terms, just citing your article numbers and declarations from the meetings that happened, one in South Africa, one in Togo. This is nonsense to the people of Benin. All this is nonsense to the people of Guinea-Bissau. All this is nonsense to the people of the Sahel states, because you have been ignorant and quiet. So you selectively come out here and send your strong words when military coup happens. What about acting when governments change the constitution just for them to be able to stay in power, just for them to be able to appoint their own sons or brothers or sisters, so that that power becomes a political dynasty, although they are not governed by a king or a queen? So what we have in Africa is now actually a political dynasty, people who don't want to leave power, people who don't want to give power to a new blood, to the young generation. It's a complete contradiction that we have governments in Africa who are more than 65 years old, where 75% or 80%, for that matter, of the generation or the population of African countries is less than 25 years old, and you are pressuring for them to have these old oligarchs to continue to rule the countries. So this is an old game that these institutions should change if they want to be credible. That's the African Union, ECOWAS, or it could be the Eastern African Community, SADC, of the Southern African Development Community, name it, any these regional organizations, or the African Union itself. So in conclusion, the African Union in ECOWAS courageousness to denounce a military coup quickly and openly without any regard to constitutional or institutional coups that often provoke popular uprisings, serving as incentive or ground for military coup, is by itself a tantamount to the concept of double standards, that threatens the continent political stability. So that's my conclusion. So in terms of recommendations, there should be an equal treatment whenever these organizations, African Union, ECOWAS, or Eastern African Community, whatever, address a coup with, so they have to equally address it when also there's a constitutional coup, when there's an institutional coup, just like they are treating when there's a military coup. Thank you very much for tuning in, and let us know in the comment section, what do you think of this double-standardness of the African Union and ECOWAS. I will see you on the next one. That was it for me. Ciao.